Do you know that Einstein's brain was taken from his corpse shortly after his death? And you also know that Einstein's brain is now in the Motor Museum in Philadelphia. I will tell you first about the story of the extraction of Einstein's brain, then about the differences between the brain of a normal human and Einstein's brain. Einstein died in 1955 in a hospital in New Jersey. His brain was removed by a local doctor named Thomas Harvey. It is said that he stole the brain. And Thomas preserved the brain, photographed it, and measured it microscopically. One of Harvey's colleagues cut Einstein's brain into 240 pieces and placed them on microscopic slides. And from time to time, he sent these slides to different researchers for them to study. Harvey did this because he hoped to discover the secret of Einstein's genius. In the end, Harvey donated all parts of the brain to the National Museum of Health and Medicine in Washington, and now some of the brain remains, Einstein's brain, in a Philadelphia museum. The question now is there a difference between Einstein's brain and the brain of a normal person? Scientists noticed that Einstein's brain had an increase in glial cells, and it is said that perhaps this increase led to better thinking abilities and better conceptual skills. One of the benefits of glial cells is that they surround the neurons, hold them in place, and also provide the neurons with nutrients and oxygen and eliminate pathogenic factors. This means that neurons in the nervous system are cells dedicated to transmitting and receiving chemical and electrical signals, and glial cells support neurons by playing an information processing role that complements neurons. Scientists also compared the properties of the outer surface of Einstein's brain with the brains of 35 men. Their average age was 57 years. They found that Einstein's brain had an unusual pattern of grooves on the right and left parietal lobes. This specific area of the parietal lobe is believed to be important for mathematical abilities and spatial thinking. Einstein's brain was 15% wider than other brains. Research also found that the nerve cells in Einstein's, but the strange thing is that Einstein's brain was smaller than the average size of male brains. This information or differences were criticized in that it was what caused Einstein's intelligence. First, the set of brains that were compared to Einstein's may not have been the best comparison. In this comparison group, the average age of the participants was 12 years younger than Einstein, and the youngest brain in the group was only 47 years old. It is possible that the ratio of neurons to glial cells in his brain was completely normal for those of his age, as well as the group that was compared. It was not known what their IQ was or the cause of their death, because these things could be affected by the observed brain differences. Also, Einstein was the only person in the experimental group, and we need to study people who have mathematical and conceptual skills like Einstein to see whether they share the same differences. There are also the brains of other geniuses that have been studied, such as the German mathematician Carl Gauss, as well as the brain of Vladimir Lenin, and the mathematician Sofia Kovalevsky. Vladimir is the founder of the Soviet Union, and the surgery was performed by German doctor Oskar Vogt. The study aimed to understand the neural basis of Vladimir Lenin's political and intellectual abilities. The research was conducted at the request of the Soviet government, which wanted to prove that Lenin's genius was the result of the superior structure of his brain. Histological analysis methods used to examine tissue samples have helped establish the procedure as a viable method for studying the brain. Although it has been suggested that some structural aspects of Vladimir Lenin's brain contribute to increased cognitive ability, Vogt was unable to identify any specific area within Lenin's brain that provided structural evidence of Lenin's genius ability. So, is there a difference between the brains of intelligent or creative people and the brains of ordinary people? A study published in the Journal of the Psychology of Aesthetics, Creativity and the Arts revealed that the brain function of visual artists, scientists, and creative people works differently, and they also have a unique communication pattern that makes them distinct. Researchers at the University of California, Los Angeles wanted to Looking further into how the brains of highly creative people work, they wanted to compare that performance with those of non-creative. The researchers assembled two groups of study participants, with the first group consisting of exceptionally creative artists and scientists who were nominated by experts. The other group consisted of people who were not exceptionally creative, but were still very smart. The researchers called this group the Smart Comparison Group. The two groups were matched by age, gender, and estimated IQ. The researchers used fMRI testing on both groups at rest and while they were participating in tasks, and studied brain activity in different regions of the brain. The results of the study showed that while the participants in the creative and scientist group were engaged in the tasks, their brains tended to make more random connections on a global scale compared to the participants in the group of ordinary people. Our results showed that highly creative people have a unique brain connection that tends to stray from the beaten track. That is, their way of thinking is very unconventional, says Dr. Ariana Anderson, an assistant professor at the Semel Institute for Neuroscience and Human Behavior.
Verehrte An- und Abwesende, wenn ihr den